back to Court TV Live. I'm Matt Johnson today in for Judge Ashley, who will be joining us during Michael's show. We'll get you back into Wisconsin in just a moment for more testimony in the antifreeze murder retrial case. But first, let's head to Indiana. Big moments there today, where the suspected killer in the Delphi murder case, Richard Allen, right there on your screen, appeared in court for a very important hearing. Now, this case has devastated that small town in Delphi, Indiana. So no surprise, his arrival in court this morning was met with an angry onlooker. Take a listen.
Richard Allen, you child murderer! Why did you do it? Shame on you! Shame on you, Richard! You're going to prison for the rest of your life! Shame on you, Richard Allen!
No cameras allowed in court today, but our team has been monitoring what happened, and there are some key takeaways to share with you. On the issue of change of venue, attorneys will have a week to agree on a county where they can poll jurors on their knowledge of the case. Now, the gag order will remain in effect except for court matters. That makes sense. And a bail hearing is set for February 17th. At that hearing, they're going to discuss, are they ready to move to trial, which is scheduled not too far away, March 23rd. Allen was arrested in October for the murders of best friends. They're right there on your screen, the victims in all of this. Abby Williams and her best friend, Libby German, who were attacked while visiting a historic park on February 13th, 5 years ago, 2014, and found dead the very next day on Valentine's Day. Let's welcome our guest this hour to break it all down and to talk about it. Still with us, we have Gabriel Sepulveda-Sanchez joining us there in California. And now joining us, you recognize her from our last live trial, recent live trial, Kentucky versus Carol Hignite. We have Catherine Webster. Nice to see you both. Thank you for joining us on this Friday.
Thank you.
Well, Catherine, let's go to you first on this. Talk to me about what is your prediction? Whip out that crystal ball. We haven't heard a lot in this case. We still don't know how the girls died. We still don't know all of the evidence connecting this accused killer 5 years after the fact. He was interviewed by police, by the way. He said, I had a gun. He said I was there.
Yes.
Do you think that we're going to hear more of the evidence before we get to trial? And do you think that trial date is likely to still happen in March? That kind of seems, wow, right around the corner.
That would be, it would shock me if they wound up having that March trial date. That is just, it's a very quick turnaround. And I imagine the police there developed a lot of evidence over the course of 5 years. And it would be really difficult for any defense attorneys to get through that by March 23rd at this point. That's only a couple of months from now. I don't expect we're really going to hear a whole lot about the facts of this case or a whole lot more about the evidence they have, because I'm sure that the police and the prosecution don't want to risk any of that information getting out and jeopardizing the case. So I'd be really surprised if we hear much more about it going forward before trial.
Yeah, Gabriel, why are they holding it so close to the Kevlar vest? He's arrested.
Yeah. I mean, the same thing. It's just, you don't want to, there could be some more investigation. They might have there might be some other guy they're looking into. Just sometimes you want to withhold information from the public for the greater good of the trial or greater good of the ongoing investigation. So we don't really know too much right now. What that tells me is they're trying to protect maybe ongoing investigation, or for whatever reason, they just want to protect the evidence they have to convict this guy. So, yeah, it's interesting. I definitely don't think they're going to have a trial in March. If they're still trying to figure out venue motions and those sorts of issues that are coming up, they're not having this trial in March. If there's a trial in March, they need to be pretty much have their evidence together now. So I would be surprised if that happens, and probably I wouldn't be surprised if it happens next year. So.
It's interesting that you were to say that, because I was at the news conference covered by every single outlet. We carried it live here last year when they announced the arrest of this accused killer, Richard Allen. And they didn't say a whole lot, but my ears perked up when they said this, and it really goes along the lines of what you're saying, that there might be someone else out there that is going to be held accountable. Take a listen.
We are going to continue a very methodical and committed approach to ensure that if any other person had any involvement in these murders in any way, that person or persons will be held accountable.
All right, Gabriel, you opened the can of worms on that one. Back to you. Does that also tell you that they are holding back because there is someone that knew something and they didn't say something? Maybe they covered up for him. Maybe they helped him.
Definitely.
Maybe they did it. There were 2 girls there.
Yeah. You just never know. I mean, you don't want to be very careful about what information you put out there, because these guys are listening. They're listening. If you say the wrong thing and we're looking for a suspect, we've seen different footprints of size so-and-so, you know, at the scene of the crime. If you put that out there to the public, that guy's going to get rid of those shoes or whatever, just as an example. So if they suspect there's someone else involved, they're going to be very careful releasing about what they know. This guy could be out cutting his hair, bleaching his hair. He's gonna. These guys listen to these people. Listen to the news. The killers are known to listen to the news and try to get rid of any evidence linking it to the crime to them. So just how we saw in the Idaho State murder case, so you have to be careful about what you put out there. So that's definitely what very could well be. There's someone else out there. There's 2 girls. They're not. They didn't look very small. They look like they're teenagers, it could have been another guy out there, a co-conspirator.
And they were out there at that high bridge. It was a snow day. They were just hanging out as friends. One of their sisters dropped them off, said, "I love you." It's just such a tragic story that has impacted this community so much. And, the suspect worked at the local CVS, Catherine, and he actually provided pictures to the grandparents for free of charge for their memorial service for their obit. Is there a reason why, if he is the suspect, if he is the actual killer, why prosecution has waited so long? He said he was there that day.
Right. And, I imagine in the course of my prosecutions, we want to make sure our case is as good as possible before we go forward with an arrest, before the police go forward with an arrest. We want to make sure we have all of our ducks in a row, because if something happens, we don't have our evidence exactly where we want it. If the case gets dismissed at grand jury, at a hearing or something like that, we can't go after this guy again. So I'm sure that they probably really wanted to make sure they had the best case they possibly could, because these are really serious charges. And like you said, this is awful. 2 little girls died, and it's incredibly sad. They don't want their suspect to get away with this, and they know they probably only have one bite at the apple.
And Catherine, you're no stranger to high-profile cases. In fact, you're both not, but, just because you were covering one of our recent trials. They can't afford, this is a rural area, right? They can't afford to change venue, is what we're hearing. So they're going to bus in potential jurors from another county. Does that even matter?
I'm sure in the small county that they're in, it's going to be hard to have some jurors who haven't had contact with a family member who feels some type of way. So maybe if they're able to get some jurors from a different county, at least they wouldn't know the parties involved in the case, right? But I think as far as
they know the case. They know the case, though.
Well, exactly. They know the case. Everybody knows this case. So it's going to be really hard to get people who don't feel some sort of way, because everybody hates people who kill children. So it's going to be hard regardless of where they do this.
Oh, yeah. We definitely know how people in that small town have felt for the past 5 years. And you heard it at the top of the show with that man yelling. I'm surprised there wasn't more people there, to be honest with you, after talking to the folks in that community. Gabriel, now talk to me about the fact that the public, at least, we really don't have a lot of information. I went through it earlier. We don't know how they died. We don't know all the evidence connecting this guy. Will the defense team know? He was in court today. His family was there. He mouthed to them, "I love you." He thinks he's innocent. He thinks he's going to get off.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to, by a law, they're supposed to be, when this case moves forward, they're supposed to be giving they're supposed to be given enough any exculpatory evidence or the whole discovery file. They should be getting enough information on why he was at least arrested, or at a minimum, what probable cause they had to arrest him. So they know enough what the charges are against them. They definitely know more than us, but I don't know what the extent of their knowledge is. There might be some evidence that's still being withheld, but they definitely know. And they definitely know what the probable cause was. It's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds. We don't know. We know that he was there and then he had a gun, but we don't know how the girls died. There's so much that's unknown here. I mean, if they have ballistics reports and they can show that those gunshot wounds similar to the caliber of the weapon he had, that's pretty damaging evidence. But we just don't know. I don't know how they died. So just because he had a gun and he was in the vicinity, what does that tell you? Not much. This looks like a rural area. It's not uncommon for people to be hunters or carry concealed weapons. You might have a permit for that. There's just so much unknown in this case that it's hard to even discuss it.
Right, and that's part of the reason why you have so much outcry in this case. That's part of the reason why you have so many armchair detectives in the true crime community.